These are questions people have asked it for all of eternity. Everybody wants to know, what happens? Where do you go? Well, I found the information from hundreds and hundreds of people, because when I took them through the past lives, I would also take them through the death experience. Each one was reporting the same thing. They all reported what happens when the soul actually leaves the body, and they were all reporting the same places that they went to on the other side. When I've lectured on this book, people say, isn't that title wrong? Shouldn't it be between life and death? No, because it has a different meaning. Between death and life is a whole other existence on the other side as we make our plans to come back into this lifetime. But I put all of these cases together, and I found they were all saying the same thing about the different places you go on the other side. You will only go to the place that you vibrate at. Your frequency and vibration has to be at a different level to go to the level that you are adjusted to. You can't go to a higher level because your frequencies and vibrations won't match that. So hopefully when you're on Earth, in the school of Earth, you will have learned enough to take you to the next level when you go on to the spirit side. But it's beautiful over there, and I have not found any hell. There is no hell. Everything I've found is beautiful. They're the simple places that are very much like what the church calls heaven, where you can live in a house if you want to, and you can live with your departed family, or you can have any kind of a life that you want. They're beautiful gardens. Or if you are more evolved, you will go to the schools. And that means the most fascinating places, because the schools have all the knowledge that ever was and all the knowledge that ever will be. And we're attending these schools when we're on the spirit side, getting information that will help us when we come back. Also, another beautiful place is what I call the Temple of Wisdom complex. There they have the healing chambers. If people have died of devastating illnesses or very tragically and suddenly, they will go to the healing chambers where they can be healed before they can go on to the other parts of the spirit world. But also in the Temple of Wisdom complex is the tapestry room that contains the history of everyone that has ever lived on Earth as threads in this gigantic tapestry. Another part of the Temple of Wisdom is the library. That's my favorite place, is the library. In the library are what people call the Akashic records. This is what Edgar Cayce called them whenever he discovered them. The Akashic records are the records of everything that has ever happened to you. This life, all the other lives you've ever lived. And they come in many different forms. Many people see them in a book form. Other ones can see them as holographic images on walls. But in that library are also all the wisdom, all of the answers. There are books that contain everything that has ever been written and everything that ever will be written. And each of you have a book in that library. So when I go there, I like to ask all kinds of questions because that's where you can find your answers. But the spirit side is all full of wonderful things there because you also make your plans before you come back into the next life. And you have boards and councils and your guides and your guardians and your masters and elders that help you to make the decisions of what you're going to do the next time you come back into a life. So it's quite a busy place, and it's a very interesting book talking about everything that happens before you come back to the school of Earth. This is between death and life. For instance, the atomic bomb was at one of these. And in one of those other realities, we ended up destroying the universe. Because, you know...
The universe?
The planet, I guess you would say. Be more, Because when I did a book on this, on Hiroshima, and because when the scientists invented the atomic bomb, they didn't know what they were playing around with. They could have ignited all of the hydrogen atoms in the atmosphere, and we could have blown the planet up. But they said, well, we're just going to find out what happens.
Well, we had some divine intervention with that.
We did.
Yeah.
And that's one of the nexus points. We could have blown up the planet.
Would you say JFK, the assassination of JFK, these points that stand out in history that change world history, or is it more subtle than that? I mean, sometimes.
Well, for instance, they said one of the nexus points was the Bay of Pigs, which took place during Kennedy, and that could have turned into World War III on one of the probabilities.
Yeah, it was so close, and because we had some divine intervention in that level, it didn't happen.
No, but see, that shows you how easy it is to shift. This is why you can create your own reality once you know what you want. This is the path I'm going to go down. And you can do it with your mind. You have great power with your mind.
Right. And this is what people can do every moment, every morning in your life. You can set an intention of what's your highest potential today.
What you want.
Right.
Once you figure out what you want, I just throw it out to them. Hey guys, this is the next project. Then I sit back and watch the magic.
And it is magic. The power of our minds to create the reality is...
But remember, when you're going to create something, you must see it in your mind. It has to be a reality. If you can see it, it must happen. That's the law of the universe. So you see what it is you want to accomplish in detail. It becomes a reality. And then, don't worry about how it's going to happen. Because if you say, I got to do this and this and this to obtain that, you are limiting the universe.
Right.
Is that the only way it can happen? But if you just say, this is what I want, you focus on the end result. And when you do that, it has to happen as a law. It'll happen in ways that you would never, ever have imagined.
And you have to be open to that. If you say, no, I want to have it this way, then you're interfering with...
You are limiting
right.
the universe.
Right.
Because it'll happen in ways that you would never have thought of, ways you couldn't have imagined, and this happens all the time in my life. That's why I said sit back and watch the magic, because they take over and they make it happen.
Your life has been sort of magical, hasn't it?
Well, it's been a long journey.
But you've done some great things. I mean, when you started out, no one believed you. You said you took 8 years to publish your first book.
9 books, 9 years for the first book.
And then...
Because publishers was way ahead of my time. They didn't understand past lives, didn't understand reincarnation, so it took a long time.
And now the world's caught up with you, and now you're doing some films, people are making movies, and but the big thing I think that's happening now is what you're seeing for the future as far as what's called the ascension of the Earth. So let's talk a little bit about this. As the frequencies of the planet change, our bodies changing, what do you see happening? Or you even mentioned, as you mentioned in this book, the
New Earth.
The New Earth and the 3 waves of volunteers for the New Earth. So talk about this.
Because the planet itself, Earth, is a living being. And it is getting ready to go into its next incarnation. Not getting ready, it's already in the process now.
Does that mean life on Earth is changing when you say its next incarnation? Isn't it a progression?
Well, I'm talking about the Earth itself is moving into another dimension, another frequency, another vibration, and it is going into another incarnation. And if we want to go with it, we have to change our vibrations and frequencies to match it.
Right.
Otherwise, we can't go. And frankly, it doesn't care if we go or not, because we're like fleas on a dog.
So we need to... This is Earth. We're walking around inside a piece of Earth. We need to change the frequencies of these bodies by our thoughts.
Yes.
And so what do you recommend to people as far as moving with that frequency.
Well, it's such a natural thing. You don't have to do anything.
But you just said get over fear, let go of
Yes,
fear.
the one thing is, fear is only present in this reality here. It doesn't exist in other planets and the rest of the universe. It's a man-made thing. It's a man-made illusion. So if you're trapped in fear, this will hold you to the older, to the negativity. You have to get over fear, start thinking for yourself. And also you have to forgive. You have to get rid of karma if you're going to move into the new
Forgive
world.
everything, your government, your parents, your religion.
Everything.